Welcome. In this video, we're going to look at taking it further with the command line. Taking it further involves things like looking at terminal alternatives, customizing the command prompt, customizing the themes we use in our command line editor, working with bash alternatives like ZSH or ZSH and fish, and adding additional features through plugins. Normally, this would be the point in the course where I'd break down and start going through all of these different more advanced features and how to do each of them. However, thanks to our course advisor, Wes Boss, we already have a free command line power user course available. It's 11 videos that are not too long in total, and at this point, because this is 100% free and explains things so well, I'm going to ask you to stop the video here, go sign up for the course, and take his course. It's pretty quick. As I said, it's only 11 videos, and then you'll be able to come back here and pick up further. So again, if you haven't already watched this course or taken this course, go ahead, take this course, go through the 11 videos, get set up and comfortable, and then come back here. So now that you've finished the command line power user course, you should know a few basic things. First of all, you should be comfortable using iTerm, popping up different tabs or even different panes and customizing the colors. You should have ZSH or ZSH set up as a bash alternative. You should be familiar with what ZSH plugins are and how they work. You should have Oh My ZSH themes up and running. And you should have Z shortcuts beginning to compile all the different shortcut ways of changing directories into folders. You should have also looked at working with an advanced history option as well as using trash instead of RM. Now, I'm not going to cover any of these specifically, and you don't really need them to advance with this course. However, as a developer in this field, it is important that you expose yourself and get comfortable with this stuff. So again, if you haven't already taken the course and you're just watching the rest of this video, go back, take the course, and then come back here and review this list of things that you should already know. What I'm going to wrap this video up with then is a few things that I think you should practice with a bit more before proceeding. Because this is the last video on the command line, it's really important that you have taken the time to get comfortable using Terminal, iTerm 2, or your different coding environments in order to access and get into that command line and start writing commands. So again, practice this. Get familiar working with this in a few different ways and see if you have a preference. Do you like coding or do you like using the command line in your coding environment more or in separate apps? I know people that go both ways. Then there's something important. You have to be able to switch between bash and ZSH. When we get into installing tools, it's also important to know how to uninstall them. And while you don't really need to uninstall ZSH, there's a really simple way to switch back to the default bash if you don't want to keep using ZSH and all these things that you set up. So let me actually just show you real quick how this is done. Okay, so I've got iTerm 2 here open with my own custom theme, which I'll get into in a second here. But first, I just want to show you real briefly, if you ever want to change your shell, you could use the command chsh, which is change shell with the option S. And then by default, what comes on your Mac is going to be bash. So if you ever want to stop using ZSH and switch back to bash, you simply run the command chsh, and you could always Google search if you forget how to switch back to bash or how to switch out of ZSH, etc. So it's going to ask you for your password. Go ahead, type that in, and now I'm going to close down my window and open up a new terminal because whenever we change shells and things like that, we need to refresh or open up a new terminal window. So now I've got a new console window open, and notice now that I'm back to that original prompt that I had of my computer name, the folder, and then my username. So let's say I don't want to use bash anymore, and now I want to change back to using ZSH. So that's pretty simple too. It's just, change shell, and then we simply do bin. And if you installed it correctly, it should be as simple as typing bin ZSH. And it'll ask for our password again. Close this down, open up a new one, And notice now I'm back in and I've got ZSH working. Okay, so you've worked with switching between bash and ZSH. It's a pretty simple command to do that, but helpful to know and not a far Google search away if you ever get stuck. So that's one thing that you should get comfortable with, is turning off this environment if you don't want it, turning off this shell, switching shells. So then this is a really fun one. I think that you should take some time exploring ZSH or OhmyZSH themes. And when you install this, you get a whole bunch of ones that you could set to random and start switching through them and checking them out. And then you could also create your own. So I just want to show you real quick how you might approach this of exploring new themes or also creating your own. Okay, so I've got iTerm2 here open, and I'm just going to be in my root directory, and I want to show you something here about how you could begin playing around with different random themes. So if we do Atom, and then ZSHRC is going to be the name of the file that lets us configure our ZSH. So if I list out all my files, hold on, let's switch to a bigger screen here. If I switch out all my files, we could see that ZSHRC is listed right here, and this is going to be our configuration file for ZSH. So what I want to do is I want to open up ZSHRC inside of Atom. Okay, so now I've got ZSHRC open in Atom, and notice that I have my theme set to Zac Gordon. This is a custom theme that I built, but what I did before I got there was I set ZSH theme to random, and so you could just type that line in. You should find ZSH theme set somewhere. I set it to random, and then you just begin closing and opening up new terminal shells. So this is going to be a little bit funky because of the size. Let's see if I could just open a new tab. There we go. So each time I basically just set this up and just start exploring different interfaces. And not only do the colors change, but what information is displayed there also changes as well. So notice that this one looks this way. This one's pretty blank. All sorts of different options here. So if you find one that you like, you should be able to simply type out the command print $, all caps, random theme, and this will tell you what theme you're using. And notice that it's inside of your OhmyZSH themes. So once you find that theme, you could simply come back and set that as your default theme. So in this case, we could set Byra to be our ZSH theme. The other thing you could do is close down Atom here and simply open up the entire directory inside of Atom. And what that will let you do is access the OhmyZSH folder, come down into themes, and then you could find the actual theme that you like. And in order to create a new one, all you have to do is just copy what you want, duplicate that file, and then tweak the little components. Now, we're not going to really go into in-depth all of what everything is happening here and all of the different configuration options. There is a little bit on the internet. You could research it a bit, but it should be pretty intuitive. Once you find something, and let's say you want something to be red instead of blue, or you don't want that little part to be there, you should be able to figure out where you could delete it. And for me, I wanted a really clean theme that didn't have a lot going on and also had some bright colors. So I found one that I liked, and then I just customized it and tweaked it for my own doing. I did that with a couple different ones. You can see I got Zach Russell, Zach Guts, and Zac Gordon. And the other thing I like to do here is I'll just copy and paste a bunch of different ones and then add a list, a going list that I just comment out as I'm not using them. But then if I ever want to switch out my theme real quick, I could do that. Because the thing here is that this theme is going to control what it looks like in terminal. And if you're using a code editor, you have your themes for your code editor, but that's not going to control your terminal theme or prompt or anything like that. So that's how you could go about playing around with a random theme, finding one that you like, and then customizing and creating your own theme. And just as when working with code editors, I suggest that you create a few different themes or come up with a few different themes that you like, because depending on your environment or the process or what you're doing, you might want some light ones, you might want some dark ones, you might want some crazy ones, some professional, etc., etc. So once you've explored the themes a bit, then you're also going to want to build up your Z database. The Z functionality is amazing and really takes all the work out of changing directories. So with mine, I could simply type Z and then whatever folder on my computer I want to go to, and I'm automatically there. But as you know, you need to start using it a little bit. So I would suggest having this running in the background. And once you have Z installed, then the command line almost becomes faster than navigating things with a mouse. When you could just type Z and then part of the name of the folder, tab, and it'll just jump you directly there. That's a real big asset, and I think a very valuable thing you want to know about. So next, I just need to mention again, start using the command line regularly. See, even if it's a bit more work, if it's not completely slowing you down, try to begin to use the command line more with your daily operations. Now, this isn't too important. You do need to get comfortable using it and navigating, but as we develop more, you won't have a choice but to use the command line regularly. So it might seem a little forced at this point, but once we get through some more tools, then you'll really see how valuable the command line is, and you'll kind of be forced to be in it on a regular basis depending on what tools you're using. So from here, the last thing I want to mention is you could go look into ZSH further, or Fish is another alternative for it, looking at Bash alternatives. And just take the time to explore these. You may even want to go watch Wes's videos, certain ones, one more time or two more times or three more times to really get familiar. But at this point, we're going to close down our section on the command line. So it's really important that you know these basics. You have a sexy command line set up that looks nice, that has some extra functionality built in. And once you do that, then we'll go and we'll begin looking at the rest of the tools in this section. And we're going to start off from here looking next at an introduction to NPM or Node Package Manager.